learning never stops for a successful leader. In Zaza, from the onset, because most of us, even at an individual level, we possibly had not dealt with land transactions. Maybe some had gone into purchase of shares and investing in different maybe business or stuff like that. But we had to learn what does it take to close a land transaction. How should you gauge what shares to buy in the stock exchange? What if you want to buy stocks in a foreign country? For instance, we do have shares in the Rwanda Stock Exchange. So learning never stops for a leader, and specifically so in Zaza, learning never stops. And I could give examples of some of the lessons we learned. In one of the, I talked to you about the Stretch project. We call it the Kajiado project. We bought a piece of land, and our aim was to subdivide and sell. So we had never gone through the subdivision process before. So, and that is the time when now we had to learn what kind of approvals do you need to get, how then do you go about doing the subdivision. So again, connecting with the right surveyors, connecting with people at the lands office, getting the lawyers to do the paperwork and everything. But one of the very difficult lessons we learned was understanding what is the plan for that area. Because believe it or not, I think 4 or 5 months into purchasing the big plot, and now we fenced it and trying to figure out how to subdivide, the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company came and told us, by the way, high voltage lines are going to be crossing through your land. And they took almost 20% of the whole piece. Now that totally disoriented our mathematics, because the project was designed to be a profitable project. And we learned how to negotiate. We learned where their offices are in the first place. We learned the law that, government for infrastructure, they can negotiate with you to take up your piece of land, for instance, to put up high voltage lines. We learned what you can't do around the high voltage lines. And eventually we did manage to negotiate for a good compensation, not as much as we would have wanted, but at the very least we tried to work out how to get a good compensation out of it. Yeah. So we did learn to look for the plans for a certain area if we need or we want to invest in it, something that we hadn't thought about before. Then we, in terms of just learning, you can never cease to do it in real estate, in whatever investments you're doing. I remember we also went into agriculture, and we did quite burn our fingers at some point. But for me, it's a learning lesson. We paid school fees. So we went into maize and flour project. We were looking to have a project that brings in cash flow. But we did learn, especially, for instance, if I take the maize project, we did the whole 9 miles, from the preparation of the land, the planting and everything up until the harvest. But we only broke even. There were weather issues and everything else, and some of the crop failed. But we did learn that, agriculture is not an easy job. First of all, the way we are structured, most of us are already working somewhere else or running our own businesses. Yeah. So having an involving investment does not work for us as well. So we did learn that possibly agriculture might not be our first lucrative investment to go into. We later even looked at it and said, well, did we really have to do all the planting and everything? Possibly we could have just waited for people to harvest, buy it from the farms, store it, maybe prepare it for preservation, and then sell it at a markup, would have spent less human effort and possibly made money out of it higher than what we had. So just learning as you go along and being open, because remember, this is money belonging to many people.
Yes.
So sometimes you may feel, I put in my money and you, the board, you went and made bad decisions. You've got to make sure that the members do not fall into that sort of thought process, because everything that you do is a learning curve. So sometimes you'll do things, you'll succeed. Other times you might do things, not succeed as much, but then you've learned something. So for me, I always had the attitude, even if we make losses, one, try and minimize those losses, but then what lessons have you learned and how can you move on from there with those lessons in mind? So we are wiser now. We know things that we will not go into, but we also know that there are things that we can stretch ourselves to go into. So in terms of learning as a leader, you cannot stop learning at any one point.
And that's I'm just amused that you try to be a mobile farmer, the one for the phone.
Yes, mobile phone.
Where has the maize reached?
Yes.
Anyway, but then that has contributed to your learning, even though you made mistakes in your journey.
Yes.
Those then became the defining moments from which then you learned and were able to sow seeds, better seeds, as you went forward.